What's up, everybody? This is part 2 of episode 12, and we had a few people ask us about this because some big news dropped this week. The news is that Colin Trevorrow, who was supposed to be directing episode 9, and I don't know how far they've gone into the slate, but Variety had put out a thing saying that he's out, and officially by the end of this week, by the time we're filming this right now, J.J. Abrams is in. And this was posted to us by a few people, specifically from our comments on Entertain Facts page on Instagram. Starlord True Facts, _class_geek, Andrew Nguyen, Nguyen, sorry for butchering that, Nguyen, 10, and Tucker _Ford _1525. They asked us to talk about the J.J. Abrams thing. So, creative differences. On our very first episode, our pilot episode, we talked about the Han Solo drama. Mm-hmm. Okay, Lord and Miller pretty much taking Han Solo and turning it into, from what was Aldrin Elric said, is like, I felt like I was Ace Ventura. So they were kind of hijacking it to try to make their own funny, movie. Yeah. With Colin Trevorrow out, they've done this already with them before over creative differences. This one seems a little bit, nicer, I'd say, than the Lord and Miller one. Mm-hmm. First question, Nick. Are you excited that J.J. Abrams is going to be directing episode 9? And then the second part of that would be, are you seeing that Star Wars is kind of, or Disney themselves, Kathleen Kennedy being the figurehead over all of this, they're kind of dropping people off if things aren't going their way, kind of like their own little empire?
Well, yeah, first off, I'm excited that J.J. Abrams back in. I think he did a great job with episode 7,
Force Awakens,
making sure I got it right. But I do see why they're doing that. They do have a vision. In the end, Disney has what they want this film to kind of be. And when it comes to Disney, I think they're doing an amazing job. They're experts at what they do, right? Yeah. They have a vision that they want to go forward. I think J.J. Abrams obviously was on board with that, so it makes sense to go back to him and say, okay, so here's what our vision is. And it's kind of nice that he does the first one and ends on episode 9 as well. I think it's a great
bookends the trilogy,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally okay with that. I mean, if the director is going to go totally on a tangent here and change things up, and Disney doesn't see eye to eye and the creative differences, yeah, in the end, Disney's the one who's bankrolling this. So yeah, if they have a vision, if they're paying the price for it, and if it flops, yeah, that's all on them. But if it's not their vision and it flops, then it's on the director. So as long as they're on page, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with J.J. Abrams. How about you?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, a lot of people were saying, oh, Force Awakens was, a rehash of A New Hope, identical, whatever. And I really don't care. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. And some people hated it for the sake of just hating it.
Yeah. Always going to happen.
Always going to happen. I don't think it's a bad move. And again, I think it's kind of nice to bookend what was happening because he started and then they've got the, I think Gareth Edwards, and if I'm wrong, let me know, doing episode 8, which is coming to us really quick. And then him coming in to do episode 9, but they have 2 very different directing styles.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing that kind of worries me. If episode 9 ends up being a different tonal shift from episode 7, and then we revert back to it in episode 9 to J.J. Abrams' shift, it could end up being like, what was it? Episode 2, The Empire Strikes Back had a very different feel from, obviously A New Hope and so on and so forth. Yeah. So maybe that they're thinking this is a good way to kind of end this trilogy to go on. So I think that's my only concern. J.J. Abrams seems to play it safe. He was pretty much like a protege to Steven Spielberg, so he does have good directing chops. Mm-hmm. You're a fan of the Star Trek movies, the new ones.
Absolutely.
So he did those too.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad idea. No. The only concern is, and this will go into the second question I asked, in terms of Colin Trevorrow, have you seen the movie Book of Henry?
No.
You know what? Neither have I, but it didn't do very well. Like, it pretty much bombed at the box office. I'm going to try to bring up what other movies he's done. But a lot of people are saying that because it bombed at the box office, that's why they're changing it.
Yeah.
They're getting him out because it didn't do that well, which if that's the case, I think it'd be a little too reactionary. So he did Jurassic World. Okay, he's done, like I said, the Book of Henry. Hasn't done...
Jurassic World wasn't bad.
Yeah, and made a ton of money, right? So It almost seems, for me, if I feel bad for him because it's like, okay, Book of Henry, which was a passion project, didn't do too well, but why fire the guy? Unless they're really in the early stages, and I don't know how much they've shot, really off course.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like an epic movie like this, the recency effect really does make a huge difference. So yeah, he may have done great with Jurassic World. That's awesome. But that was then, this is now. So what you want to do is, as a franchise, you want to make sure that you have a director in place who has had a recent success where you could fall back on and say, okay, wow, he crushed it on this one. Let's make sure that we bring him back in, and like, you know, he's doing great. We'll carry his momentum as well as the franchises, right? So it's kind of bringing both worlds in and elevating the franchise even more so now, knowing you've got a director who's just had another recent hit, who's got a line of succession, right? Okay. So if you have that little dip, and this is just me, like it could be, obviously I've never directed a movie, or you know, I don't own any shares in Star Wars, but you know, I think for them, that's where I kind of see where they're coming from. Like, why would you want to, you know, keep investing in somebody who just recently did bad and could have a negative impact on how people portray the movie before it even starts? You're already going to have the haters,
right?
So why perpetuate or make that even more so by saying, oh, okay, well, really, this guy just flopped. Like, this is, you know, and Star Wars is sacred, right? You're going to have people who hate it either way. Personally, what I would love to see is, you know, 7 was, like you said, it was kind of like A New Hope. I'd love to see 8 super dark.
Yeah.
And then 9 kind of wraps it up. So I'd like to see similar how the first trilogy happened, where, like, you know, like, Luke, I'm your father, lost his arm, like, you know,
the whole deal.
Whole deal. I would love to see that darkness in the second one, and then just, you know, however they wrap it up,
a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, in 3. But
that's not a bad way to think about it. I mean, I think that maybe momentum was the biggest thing. We saw the same thing happen with Ben Affleck after his little passion project. I think it was in January.
I thought you were going to say Geely.
Not Geely. Jesus, no. Live by Night, I think it was called, and it was like this old gangster, you know, type of movie. Did not do well at all. And ever since then, it was, is he Batman? Is he not? He's not directing. He's not writing. He's not a part of it. And then he's back at it again, new directors and all that. So, man, I think, like, I like what you're saying about that, where it is a case of he has no momentum now as a director.
Yeah.
And you mentioned on part 1 that The Rock is one of the biggest stars. Well, star power doesn't carry anything anymore.
Yeah.
People get excited about stuff, but specifically, like the audience that's watching us, that are watching other podcasts, that are in the know, when they hear a certain director, they're going to immediately be like, okay, what has this person done? And would I be excited because of that? Who's writing it? And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because originally I was just thinking, like, you know, it sucks for him, but you also mentioned they're the ones forking over the money.
Yeah, if it was like a longer break in between, then you could almost push it as like, this is his comeback one, right?
Right.
You know, but it was so recent where I don't like, or more recent anyways. You know, if you had taken like a 3 or 4 year whatever hiatus and like, okay, he's back and he's proven himself, then you could push it that way. But
yeah, not having seen Book of Henry myself, it looks to me like it's a smaller movie. It's not. It's, I mean, clearly not going to be as big and epic as Star Wars. So maybe Kathleen Kennedy is like, you know, and this was all, again, creative differences. So it could be a mixture of, they're going the wrong path, and in the Disney world, if we're not on the same page since day 1 or day 30 or whatever it is, we need to cut this now before we get into a Lord and Miller situation where we've filmed so much. And we've realized that you guys are taking this on a completely different level, and it's going to completely ruin our end product.
Yeah.
But I really like what you said there.
Oh.
What do you guys think? I know most people haven't commented in terms of what they feel. It's, again, you posed us the topic. So what do you guys think about J.J. Abrams directing Episode 9? Do you think it's a good idea? And do you think that, you know, I guess the fear might be, well, he played it safe in Episode 7, but you kind of can't blame him because you've got such a Herculean task on your shoulders that it's like, well, let's do something that people know, bring people back in, and then we can change whatever we want. Yeah. So, let us know in the comments. Let us know at the fwordpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. You can always catch us on Facebook at the F Word Podcast. I think it's just the F Word. Yeah. And then you can also find me on Twitter at the F Words G. So, let us know. Are you excited about J.J. Abrams? If not, let us know why. Don't just say, oh, he sucks or whatever. Yeah. And if you didn't like Episode 7, I kind of, I understand.
Yeah.
So this is part 2. Part 2 talking about Star Wars. Part 1 is on DC. It should be on your sidebar there if you're looking. IMG and Nick, you're about to give us a quick top 5.
I am.
Top 5 football movies is coming right now. That's Nick, I'm G, and we are out.
What's up, everybody? This is Nick from the F Word Podcast with my top 5 review. This week we've got NFL season starting up, so we thought, what better way to kick it off? I know there's a lot of wives out there who are going to be widows for the next few months, but we thought we would start off with our top 5 movies that we came up with a little bit of a countdown. So we had our poll come in as well as our own top 5. So we're going to start with the poll. We had a lot of people vote, and we thank you very much. Keep voting on these polls. We love it when you give us A, your feedback, B, your votes, all that kind of stuff. We love to get you more involved. So start off with number 5, according to the fans, The Waterboy with 6.25% of the votes. Coming in at number 4 with 9.38% of the votes, Any Given Sunday, which shocked me. I thought that might be a little higher for you guys. Number 3, The Longest Yard with 21.88%, repeating, of course, percent of the votes. And tying that with 21.8%, repeating, of course, is Rudy at number 2. And the number 1 NFL or football movie of all time, according to the fans, 37.5% of the votes, a little closer than I thought. Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington, perfect 18-0 season. So those are your votes. We love it when you guys do it. Thank you very much. Here's ours. We'll see how we kind of differentiated there. Number 5 for us was Varsity Blues. I don't know, great movie. I thought it was a good one. Rudy was number 4. Number 3, The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. Come on, one of my personal favorites. You're not even a has-been, you're a never was. Great cut down, I mean. Use that anytime, by all means. Say you heard it here. Remember the Titans was number 2. And number 1, Al Pacino. Great movie, Any Given Sunday. Those are our top 5. Be sure to vote on our next set of top 5. We'll be doing this every week. Thank you very much for voting. Keep doing it. Love hearing from you. Take care. We'll see you next time.